Hello there. Today I want to show you one of my games in the Lichess4545 Online Ligue, which I regularly play. And this game was played yesterday. So I played with white pieces and my opponent played with black. We are similarly rated. When I look at his profile, he's maybe a little lower rated in Blitz and rapid, and in the classical rating we are about equal. And before I start analyze the game, I would just like to show you how I play this game. So I take this very seriously. I set up my board and my pieces, and I just transpose the moves from my computer to my chessboard, and then I think over the board. So I approach this game as a preparation for my real over-the-board tournaments, which I tend to play and which I want to play once the situation allows for over-the-board tournaments. And of course, I don't look at books. I don't cheat in any way, and I really try to simulate the tournament conditions. So I play like I would play in the tournament. I turn off my phone. I close all the other tabs on my laptop, and then I just play the game. As far as preparation goes, I do prepare, but just a little. So for example, in this game, I looked up my opponent, I looked at his profile, and I saw that he plays French against e4. So I just refreshed my knowledge of French, my repertoire, and I have opening repertoires, but they are very short. So for example, for French, I have 5 variations, which are 7 to 8 move deep. So this is all. So once I saw that he plays French, I just refreshed this short repertoire, and it took me something like 10 or 15 minutes. So this is all the preparation I had. So I knew some 5 main lines and 7 moves deep. So with this preparation, I play the game. And also, if you want to see how this looks like in my home, then this is the picture. Okay, let's now go to the game. So I played e4, my opponent played e6, so I was expecting this. He's playing French. I play d4, as is part of my repertoire and my principles, so I always seize the center whenever I can. He plays d5, so usual French, and I play knight to d2, covering because he was attacking my e4 pawn, and I'm just defending with playing knight to d2. The idea behind this move, knight to d2 and not knight to c3, which will also protect the pawn, is to avoid this pin situation. So this is the first idea, and the second is this pawn can be attacked from the wing, and it usually does. So usually black at some point plays c5, and then I can just play c3 and make sure that I always have a pawn in the center. So knight on f3 would not allow this. So this is the idea behind this move, and this is part of my repertoire. So black immediately plays c5. This is called in some books Scorching Gambit. Okay, I was prepared for this, and I just developed with knight g to f3 now, just defending my pawn which is attacked. And you have to notice also that this knight on d2 now blocks the queen from defending d4. So now, yes, this knight defends e4, but at the same time leaves d4 undefended. So this is why I have to play either this knight g to f3 or c3 immediately. I play this. He played knight to c6. Now I'm not sure that this is in my repertoire. Maybe I'm already out of the book, because usually the usual move is knight to f6, but it doesn't matter much. Now my pawn is attacked twice, and I play c3 to protect my pawn. And this is the setup I usually have against French. Now my opponent played c4, which I think is not a good move. It's never a good idea to push c-pawn too early. This is something less experienced players often do, because now you can get the impression, if you are black, that you have this strong pawn chain, and you have won some space on the queen side, and also you control the two squares in your opponent's camp. So it looks like a good move, but actually it's not, and it always turns out that this move is bad, because white can very easily break this chain pawn and then have active play on this wing. I would like just to show you this c pushing is also seen in the games played by white. So for example, some less experienced players tend to play like this. So they play, for example, a Queen's Gambit, and then after, I don't know, something, they push this c-pawn. Maybe not immediately, but at some point they push it, and they think they achieved something with this. But usually this is not a good move, and you should avoid this. So it's much better to keep the tension than to play this, because again, the opposing side can easily break this pawn chain and then get some activity. And I have a friend at work, he plays chess casually, and he always played this c5 move. And then he lost many games when he played the c5 move, and then at one point, maybe after 100 games, he told me, well, look, maybe I should not play this c5 move, because I lose almost every time I play this c5 move. So I think this is a good way to learn. So if you don't believe me that c5 is bad, then just play c5 and you will see how many games you will lose, and you will probably stop playing c5. So here, as in this game, black did this mistake, I think, and this eventually led him to the worst position. Although on this level, usually this kind of positional mistakes does not decide the game. The game is decided by the tactics in the later stage of the game, like always. Okay, so I now just continue my development. I play bishop e2. This b3 idea is always present, so playing b3, then maybe capture with my knight or with my pawn, opening the a file, or maybe even with the queen. So this is always an idea, but I don't have to rush about this plan. And I think this whole game was for me at least a lesson of being patient and not being hasty, and I don't have to explore every opportunity I see on the board immediately. I can prepare things. So I think this is what I did well in this game. So black now plays bishop e7, which is a strange move, because they usually play knight to f6 at some point. Then after, let me just choose better color. So they play knight to f6. Then after e5, they move their knight to d7, and this is the usual French position. But now my opponent played bishop to e7, and now this e7 square is no longer available for knight. And if I play e5 now, which I did, then this square is also unavailable for his knight. So his knight cannot develop anywhere but on the edge of the board. So I think this was not a good move. So I played e5, and my opponent now played bishop d7. So he wanted to develop this bishop. But frankly, I don't see what does his bishop do here. Okay, it does leave the place for the rook on c8, so I guess this is a good. But I still think it would be better for him to develop his king side first, before thinking about queen side. And also in this kind of position, it looks more natural to me to develop the bishop on this diagonal, so on a6 c8 diagonal. So maybe on b7 or on a6 after playing b6 or even b5. So this is what I would expect, but okay. So what should I do? Again, I have several plans. I can try to play b3. I could maybe put my rook here before I do this, or I could do plenty of stuff, but I didn't castle, so I just castled. So I'm constantly restraining myself. I don't want to make any plans, any big maneuvers or something before I develop my pieces. So he plays knight h6, now developing his knight to only valuable square, preparing to castle. And now I play b3. So I have all my pieces developed, and I can now look for some active play. So I play b3, and if he captures, then I can just recapture with my pawn and have this semi-open file under control, or maybe I can do something else, but I don't think in this position he wants to break this tension and take on b3. I think it will be bad for him anyway. And he realizes this, and he didn't play c takes b3 here. So I play b5. Okay, and now there is a possibility that the b file will become opened. So if I take this b takes c4, b takes c4, then this b file is opened. And then I can put my rook here and maybe coordinate to my other heavy pieces and have this line under control. But I also noticed when I was thinking about this position that it is me who is deciding whether I want to open this file or not, and when do I want to open it. So if I don't want to open his file, he cannot force this. So it's completely up to me when and how and in which way, at what moment. So my plan now was just to do nothing much and to remaneuver my pieces so that once this B file is opened, I can have all my pieces ready to occupy this. So my plan was something like playing my rook on e1, and then putting my knife on f1, then to release my bishop somewhere, and put my queen on c2, and then have my rooks coordinated, and then maybe rook b1. So in the end of my plan, I will have both rooks on one rook will be on e1, so they will be coordinated. This queen would move to c2, this bishop will move away, and this knight will go to f1. So this was my plan. So when we talk about middle game plans, so this is what I think for a plan. So I have some idea what I want to achieve in the next few moves. So I start to execute my plan. So rook e1. He now plays knight f5. Maybe he should have castled, but okay, he probably didn't like his knight on the edge of the board, so he puts it in the more active square. Here I play knight to f1, and now the engine doesn't like this move. He doesn't think it's a mistake, but he thinks it's inaccuracy. Engine wants me to play a4 now, and to start my activity on the queen side. So he thinks it is a good time to break this tension. And maybe this is the best move, probably is when engine says so, but I think from a human perspective, if you look at the black's position, his pieces are very cramped, so he doesn't have much space for his pieces. So his light square bishop cannot go anywhere but retreat. His dark square bishop also has no available squares. So all these squares are occupied. Also this. So he cannot move. He cannot move this bishop. He cannot move this bishop. He cannot move this knight. He cannot move this knight. So all he can do is castle and just play with his heavy pieces. So at this position I saw, okay, my opponent cannot do much, so I have time. I don't have to hurry and to initiate some activity. I can just wait until my pieces are all set up. So I just continued with my slow maneuvering, and this is why I played knight f1 here, So to continue my plan as I was speaking earlier. So my opponent castled, and I played queen to c2. Again, engine doesn't like this move very much. Engine thinks I should be playing more actively here, but like I said, I'm in no hurry, and from a human perspective, there is a good chance that my opponent will just strangle himself, because he cannot do anything, and he could very easily make a mistake, and this will happen in the game, as you will see. Okay, so I played queen to c2, so I want to control this b1 square. So once this bishop is gone, I can put my rook on b1 and then open the b file, and I will have all my heavy pieces ready to control this b file. So this was my plan. Queen to c7 now. He probably saw my ambitions to control b file, and now he's doing the same. So he's controlling b8. And now he also has his heavy pieces fighting for the b file. Bishop g5. Okay, this is maybe a controversial move, because I'm now offering the exchange in the position in which I have better development and I have more space. And this is usually not advisable. So usually when you have more space and when you have better development, you don't want to exchange your pieces, but you want to keep your opponent having his pieces stepping on each other's toes. And here I violated this principle, and I decided to exchange this dark square bishop. And there are several reasons why I did it. First of all, this bishop was just interposing in my coordination plan, so I wanted to move it away. The second thing, I figured that this bishop is my bad bishop, because you can see I have all my pawns on the dark squares, so this is, by classical definition, this is my bad bishop. And also vice versa, since black has all his pawns on light squares, that makes this dark square bishop here on e7, this makes this bishop a good bishop. So I'm trading my bad bishop for his good bishop, and I'm also removing, developing this bishop and removing the obstacle for my rook coordination. So this is how I justify this move, and I still think this move is okay. Although it's interesting, so engine in this position favors black, minus 0.3. But I would always have white here in this position every time. So he now plays h6. He wants to, I guess he wants to kick out my bishop, or he wants to force me to make the exchange and maybe stop me for expanding via g5. So I proceeded with my plan, and I took the bishop on e7, and now I was expecting that he will take with his f5 knight, but he played with this c knight, and this was a blunder, and in fact a losing move, because now you can see that his knight has no available squares. So here he cannot go anywhere. So all these squares are controlled or occupied. So his knight is trapped now, and I just played g4, and now he has to give away his knight. So okay, so he plays knight d6, and I capture his knight, and he captures back. Okay, now I'm a piece up, I have a winning position, but what now? How to proceed with the game? What is my plan? So I have to come up with a plan now. And of course, when you are up the material, your first goal is to exchange pieces. But you have to be careful about two things. First thing is not to get over relaxed. I often do this. I get over satisfied with myself. I get proud of myself. I start thinking, oh, how I will show this game to that and that, to my friends in the club or online. And so this is the first thing you have to fight against. So this feeling of satisfaction and okay, now this is winning and it's great. So you have to be calm and rational, and okay, you have a better position, but now that means that you have to play good and solid chess in order to win. The second thing is when you have a plan of exchanging pieces, to do this no matter what. So I just want to exchange, and I don't think about whether this exchange favors me or not. So I also did that many times. So in these kind of positions, when I have a significant material advantage, I just exchanged. I forced the exchanges, even if that worst my position, and many times I even lost the game because of it. So I still have to apply good chess thinking and good chess strategy. So I should think how to activate my pieces, how to make threats, moving my pieces forward, grabbing more space, and so on. And also, if I can, exchanging queens should be my first priority, because as long as queens are on the board, there are many tactical opportunities, so the probability that I will make some mistake will be higher. And also, when your opponent has a queen, then there is always this danger of perpetual check. So the queen is very strong in giving perpetual check, and other pieces not so much. So in this position, I would like to exchange queens as soon as possible. So this is my plan. So I proceed according to my plan, and I play knight e5. Now improving my knight, putting this on this central square, and also making this opportunity to exchange. And now he played g5. The move I don't really understand, and I really don't think this is a good move, because it does several bad things. First, it exposes his king, so his king is less safe now. So the rule of the thumb in chess is that you don't want to move the pawns in front of your king, especially if you are under attack, and he's already under attack here. So I don't think he should move his pawns at all. And also, by moving your pawn, you always create weaknesses. So every pawn move creates weaknesses, as you know, and this pawn move creates two very strong weaknesses, and this is h5 and f6. And this is very convenient because my knight can occupy these squares. So I think this is really not a good move. But what should I do now? Well, according to my strategy, I should exchange. But I'm not in a hurry to exchange, so this knight is very good here. If my opponent plays f6, I have also this nice move, g6, now forcing the exchange of knights, and also with possibility to get my queen to g6 if he takes back. So I like this knight here. I don't have to hurry to exchange this. And I saw these two weaknesses, so I played knight to g3. And I think this is probably the first time, or it's very rare that I have positions when I'm ahead of material and I don't exchange when I have a chance. So maybe this is the first time in a serious game, so in game with longer time controls, that I didn't exchange pieces when I had a chance to. So I think this is good for my chess to learn to be patient, not to hurry things up, and just to try to play good and solid chess and to have active pieces. Okay, my opponent plays f6 now. He wants to kick my knight away, but like I said, then I have this g6 square. So again, every pawn move creates weaknesses. So f6 creates weakness on g6. So I play knight to g6. If he captures, then I capture with queen, and this is very not pleasant. So he plays rook to f7. And well, here I was thinking maybe I should play knight h5 here, and just continue my attack with two knights and queen. But I also noticed that this knight has no available squares. So if you can see, he cannot retreat anywhere. So if I don't exchange this knight, he could play something like this. He could move his knight away, and then he could attack my knight twice. And my knight is defended only once. And then I can lose my knight. So I'm not sure if he can do this, but it's very, very possible. So I saw that my knight, for one, doesn't have the square to escape. For two, that he can move this knight and not exchange, and then he can attack it twice. Okay, so I didn't want to risk this, and I just exchanged the knight. So now he captures with the queen. This is okay, and now I was thinking, what should I do? Should I continue my attack by playing knight to h5? And the agent thinks this is the best move here, but I wasn't so sure about continuation. Okay, it's nice to have this knight here. It's annoying for black, but I didn't see any continuation. And on the other hand, I see that I could release this rook, and then this square becomes available for my knight because this pawn will be pinned, and I get my rook in the game. So I was thinking of maybe just improve my pieces. So I followed Ben Feingold's rule, always play bishop f1, and I played bishop f1. Now this is threat, and so on. He now played e5. So again, every pawn move creates a weakness, and now this f5 square is suddenly available for my knight. It's an attacking move, and also if he decides to exchange, and he has to, then I will have a very active queen in the center and near the enemy king. And you can also see that if I play knight to f5, I'm also threatening h6, so I can make this fork. So this is a very nice move, but I postponed this move because I saw there is another weakness. So there are two weaknesses. First is, like I said, so when he played this e5, first weakness is f5, but second weakness is d5. Now this pawn is unprotected. So I saw that I can attack this pawn, so I can improve my bishop by attacking this pawn. And if I grab this pawn, it will also be very unpleasant because everything will be pinned, double attacked, and so on. So I took this chance. So I was not in a hurry to play this knight f5 because I saw opportunity to develop my bishop with a threat. So my bishop is now better, and he has to do something about this threat, and this square will still be available. So he plays knight to d6, just protecting this pawn, and now I play knight to f5. There was also another possibility which I was considering, and this was just to play queen to g6 with check, and then eventually winning this h6 pawn. So this is what I saw. Queen g6 check, he can block the check with the rook, then I can just grab the pawn, he can attack my queen again, I can just retreat to g6 with check, he can again block the check, and I can go back. So I would, in this situation, I would capture this h6 pawn, and the game would continue. But I didn't do this because I didn't see any reason to, first of all, to risk by putting my queen in the enemy's camp with not much safe routes out. So if my queen is here, it cannot be retreated along the h file. So it was a little risk, and it was just losing loss of time by grabbing this pawn, which is not so important. So although I did see this combination to grab this pawn, I just decided to let it go and to play this knight f6 move. Now threatening queen and threatening fork on h6. So he had to take the knight, and I took back with queen takes f5, and now my queen is very active on this square. So it was an exchange, but I think I ended up with a better position. So it's not just like I said, I don't want to when I'm up a material just exchange for the sake of exchange. I want to exchange and have a better position after the exchange. So this was what happened here. Queen to g7 now. Okay, he's protecting this check. This is okay. And now I'm ready to open the position and really try to exchange the queens. Like I said, this is very important to exchange the queens, so his drawing chances will be diminished. So I played d takes e5, he took back with f takes e5, and queen e5 takes e5 with check now. And now I have check, and I can force the exchange of queens. And he blocks the check with rook f6. Now the safest thing will be just to exchange queens, like I said, and then I will just have a piece up in the end game with not many tactical opportunities for black, not many drawing chances. So if this was a serious tournament and it was a third or fourth hour of the game, I would probably just grab the queen and try for an easy win in the end game. But since this online league is, I consider this like a form of training games, so I do approach this very seriously, but it's still training. So it's also a chance to try something new and to get self-confidence in my calculation skills. So I calculated that I can safely grab this pawn and with a threat. And so I have to think after bishop takes d5, does he have any threats? Can he surprise me somehow? And I thought about this position for some time, and I concluded that he cannot. And I could be mistaken. So this is why in a real serious tournament I would play just queen takes d6. But okay, I calculated that there are no threats, and I played just bishop takes d5, now threatening his rook. And now I think he just played a desperate move because he doesn't know what else to do. So he played queen b6. Now again he is threatening this f2 pawn, and he's giving his rook away in order to get this f2 pawn. Now, okay, this is something you really need to think about. So this is not like this position when you can say, okay, I can just take the queen and I cannot go wrong. But here, not to grab this rook, if you can, would be a grave mistake because it's a rook. So I had to think about this, and at first I didn't see any threat. So he can just take. I can retreat my my king to h1, and he cannot even check because this diagonal will be controlled by my bishop, so he cannot check me anymore. So if he cannot check me, he cannot mate me. And also his this rook is pinned, his rook, so he cannot play with his rook. So I just took the rook. He played queen takes f2 check. I retreated my king, and he has no more checks. So he played something like queen d2, and I saw, okay, this is a pinned piece. What do you do when your opponent has a pinned piece? You just pile up on this pinned piece. So I played rook f1, now attacking this piece twice, which cannot move, and my opponent just resigned. Okay, so I am satisfied how I played this game, not only because I won, but because of two things. Well, first of all, I didn't make any tactical error, any calculation error. So when I ran the engine, it showed that I had like 4 inaccuracies and 0 mistakes and 0 blunders. So this means that I didn't make any tactical mistakes, and this is good because I mostly work on tactics, and I think that improving in tactics on this level is the way to improve in chess. And the second thing I am satisfied about is because I was patient, and I'm usually not patient when I play chess. I want to exploit all opportunities, like opening files, opening diagonals. I usually am not a patient man over the board, but and this is my weakness. So I know that I lost many games because I was impatient, and I was trying to do something in positions in which my opponent couldn't do anything. So in this game I applied another Ben-Feingold rule, which says never do anything. And by that he means when your opponent is cramped, when he has no opportunities, then don't force some action on the board. Just be calm, remaneuver your pieces, and he will probably end up making a mistake by himself because he's out of options. So this is what I applied, and I'm satisfied with this. I would like to acquire this habit in the future, just to be patient and not to hurry. And also in this the situation when I had the opportunity to exchange a piece, when I was up the material, I didn't immediately exchange the piece, but I looked for some other opportunities to make my pieces more active, and I think this is also a good approach. So I think this game shows that I can change my habits in chess, and this is encouraging. Okay, that is it for this video. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please click the like button, subscribe, leave the comment below, and see you soon. Cheers.